Go on then. Do the intro.
Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Contumacious Ant.
And me, Andrea.
And today, on the 5th day of the Nightmares Before Christmas, my true love gave to me...
5 gold rings.
No. Jean Spangler.
Yes! Even better. And so much better than birds.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, after the 4th day of getting birds, you'd be like, come on, sort your life out, mate. Like,
You would.
and
I think that... I feel like Pets at Home probably would have put a cap. Like, they'd been like, this is the 3rd day you've come in here. Like, we don't trust your whole bird thing.
Yeah.
You've got a kink.
Why have you got a shotgun over your arm? Where are you taking these birds? Out on the hunt?
I mean, Pets at Home literally want to know, like, your social security number, the layout of your house, if you live near a main road, and, like, all kinds of different things. If you get a goldfish. And I'm like, why do you need to know if I live near a main road? It's not going to run away and get run over. It's a goldfish.
Maybe they just know you.
I'm a very respectable pet owner. Thank you very much.
Did you not just kick bugs out of the room then?
I tapped his bum very gently.
We have it on camera, so...
You haven't... yeah, I'll be paying another £500 for him to sit on a couch and talk to somebody like the last time. For everyone who thinks I'm weird, my cat has anxiety. And we've spent thousands at the vet to try and remedy said anxiety.
It's a cat. Right.
Cat with anxiety.
Yeah, of course.
Tried to get him Prozac, but apparently they don't do it for cats just yet.
Just give him one of yours.
I never thought about that.
That would literally be the first thing I would think of. Not because I'm gonna abuse animals, but be like, don't you? Well, let's try this.
You hear about these people that give, like, their dogs paracetamol and stuff when they're not very well. I'm like, I don't think that's good for them. I don't think dogs are supposed to have paracetamol.
I don't
think dogs are supposed to have any kind of human things.
Dogs can't handle chocolate, so giving them...
Which is weird, because we had a Labrador who basically lived on a diet of chocolate because he was a greedy fuck, and he lived till he was, like, 18. Labradors, like, retriever Labradors, live till they're 11, 12. Yeah. He just kept on going. So,
Heard it here first. Feed all your dogs chocolate.
Chocolate. We didn't have much of a choice. He used to kind of steal it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying Jean Spangler?
Yes. So, now, this is an interesting case because it involves one of our alumni, kind of. It's kind of who was involved with the Natalie Wood case. Now, not saying was involved in Natalie Wood's death or in the disappearance of Jean Spangler, as we'll go on to clear up or speculate on later. But it involves Kirk Douglas, who was actually allegedly R-worded an underage Natalie at Chateau Marmont. According to Natalie's sister, so take your beef up with him. Dead people can't sue anyway, so...
take your beef up with Natalie's sister?
Yeah, because she's...
Did you say take your beef up with him?
No, with Natalie's sister, because she said it.
You said take your beef up with him.
No. Okay, maybe I did. Well, okay, fine, fair enough.
Play it back and then you can put a little, like, text on with a star, like, Drea was right.
Won't be edited. So this also has echoes of the Black Dahlia murder as well, which we have covered. Although it's not as graphic because Jean disappeared. Elizabeth Short was an aspiring actor and her murders were committed 2 years before Jean's disappearance in the same area. As we go through it, we'll draw up some suspects. And they are quite close to each other, to be honest. But Jean Spangler was born in 1923 and she went on to become a Hollywood actor. Now, she wasn't A-list. By the time of her disappearance at the age of 27, she'd starred in 7 films. She was mainly an extra or a showgirl / dancer in the background. But she did have aspirations of going on to bigger and better things. But on the evening of October the 7th, 1949, Jean left home, leaving her 5-year-old daughter with her sister-in-law, Sophie. Now, she told Sophie, her sister, that she was going to work, but when she said this to her daughter, she kind of looked over her head and gave a little wink at Sophie. So Sophie took this to mean that she was doing something other than working that evening. Now, later on...
Or she was going to work.
Yeah. And
Lady of the Night kind of work.
It could have been, or doing something that is kind of related to Lady of the Night work, but a couple of weeks after the event of Lady of the Night work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yes.
Later on, Jean called home saying that she was going to be working through the night and not to expect her home until the next morning. Now, this was a regular thing when she was filming, but records show that she wasn't booked on that day on any acting gigs. So maybe she was waitressing or dancing somewhere in one of the clubs, but when Jean had failed to return home by Saturday night, she was reported missing. Now, by Sunday morning, her handbag had been found by a park worker, and the police quickly identified it as Jean's. The handle had been snapped, a pack of red striped cigarettes and a note were found in the bag. Now, the note read, "Kirk, can't wait any longer, going to see Dr. Scott. It will be best this way while Mother is away." Now, she lived with her mother, but her mother was out of town visiting relatives, so it was just her, Sophie, and her daughter that were there. Now, this is still actually designated as a missing person case, and it's still open, even though it's like 70 plus years after the fact. But no murder inquiry was ever raised in connection with the case. Now, that means they didn't find any evidence that Jean had been murdered. There was no foul play around. There was no blood or anything found. There was just the bag, the broken handle on the handbag, and that's basically it. Now, there's a few suspects with this, as in most cases of disappearances, the suspicion fell on Jean's ex, Dexter Benner. Now, he'd been married to Jean for 4 years until her divorce in 1946, and there had been an acrimonious custody battle of their daughter. Benner had sole custody of her for a while, but he lost that right before Jean went missing, and by all intents and purposes, he went to the courts to try and get his daughter back. Now, when police interviewed him, he claimed to not have seen Jean for weeks before her vanishing, although by the end of October, bearing in mind this is just a couple of weeks after her disappearance, he had been reinstated as sole custodian of their daughter. Now, Jean's mother tried to fight this through the courts, but to no avail, and later on, Benner remarried and he left the state. So,
why would he be given sole custody, though?
As a parent, I suppose they get more. I know in England,
because normally they go for the mother, don't they?
Yeah,
they give the mother more
But the mother's missing, and in England, I know in England, grandparents don't have any rights to access to the children. So I don't know about her sister, whether they were both jointly fighting for this, but Jean's mother really wanted to keep hold of her daughter and be in her life, but the judges decided. Bearing in mind, this is 1940s in Hollywood, so it's men.
He must have really wanted his daughter, though, to actually try and take custody. It's not like it's just a case of, oh, that's a past life, I'm moving on. He must have.
Oh no, yeah, of course, and he did have sole custody of her. So Jean only had visiting rights to her before this kind of happened. But for some reason, maybe he was claiming that it was a lifestyle because she was going out late at night. That's how he got sole custody. But he did want to be in his daughter's life, which fair play to him. But the next suspect on our list is serial shenanigan man Kirk Douglas. Now,
Serial shenanigan. I love it.
he was never really a suspect for the police. The only link to him is that Jean and him had starred in a film together before her disappearance, and the name that was on the letter was Kirk.
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a push, firstly, to just go Kirk. Like, there's only one Kirk in the whole of the world, or the whole of the area. But also, if it was that Kirk, well, he's a Hollywoodian, isn't he? So
this is the thing.
Not going down for anything, is he, really?
This is the thing as well. I think this is why he was just brushed off as not being a suspect, because at this point he was an established actor and he was also a decorated war veteran. So
yeah,
bearing in mind, it was just like the Second World War just finished. He just got back from the Second World War. People love that shit, don't they? So
yeah,
he was
like he fought it single-handedly.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Americans think of that war veterans do. Like, I mean, yeah, thank you for your service, but you know you've been indoctrinated into this fucking thing to shoot guns from a child. So you know what I mean. Get over yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, with Kirk Douglas.
Lest we forget.
Yeah, indeed. Fuck off. Kirk was loved all over Hollywood at this point, and his biographer gushed that his style and personality came across on the screen, something that does not always happen, even with the finest actors. Douglas had and has a distinctly individual manner. He radiates a certain inexplicable quality, and it is this, as much as his talent, that accounts for his success in films. Now, if you read between the lines, I read there, sleazebag. That's what he does. He gets people on his side with his charisma, and he was Spartacus. He seems a charismatic guy, but he just gets people on his side so he can go on to R-word fucking 14-year-olds in Hollywood.
Not in any point in that speech either did anything say he's a great actor as well.
Yeah.
His acting skills are on point.
No, that's it. He's just personality and his style come across. So
yeah.
No, he's acting. He's just being him. So didn't have a lot of range, I would guess. Again, like we said, this amount of clout and the money, and back in these times, MGM had a fixer that they would have a full-time employee that they paid a salary to get rid of indiscretions that their actors would come across, and it's all kind of them shenanigans that went on. Do you know? I mean, throughout his life, it sounds like I'm having a go at him, but he's a fucking goblin. Throughout his life, Douglas had extramarital affairs. He never tried to hide them, and he's gone. He's been named around a few dodgy incidents that has happened.
And you know what's weird, right, is that the blokes in Hollywood were just pretty much like allowed free reign. They were just fucking piranhas. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted. But the women, like you likes of Marilyn and Natalie Wood, once they signed that contract, that's it. Their life belonged to that film studio. The film studio dictated who they could date, who they could marry, if they could have kids, what they had to wear. Like, that's fucking barbaric.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, even
the blokes were just like, guy,
do whatever they want. But even in their contracts, even in the women's contracts, they had a weight range that they had to stay in between. Yeah. If they went over that, they would be fired from their contract. So I can't remember.
Barbaric.
Yeah, maybe it was Marilyn Monroe, but there is
probably
a famous person who had a 10-pound weight limit. I mean, that's just the fucking kebab. Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's so disparate the fucking fairness in them days. I mean, it probably still goes on today, Harvey Weinstein and shit. But
yeah.
You know, it's just horrible. Now, next on the list of the suspects is a doctor that was mentioned in the note, Dr. Scott. Now, police try as they might, which I don't. 1940s police, don't think they tried that hard, to be honest with you. But they allegedly contacted every Dr. Scott that was in the LA County Register, and none of them said that they had any dealings with Jean. But
Of course they're going to say that.
Exactly.
They killed her.
Exactly, they said
Jean
no.
who? Doesn't ring a bell.
No, ignorance is bliss, and because they're doctors and men, again, they probably got a pass with it. But this also leads on to another suspect, and the suspect is one of the main suspects in Black Dahlia killings. So, the police confirmed that there was a doctor that was known to Miss Spangler and her cohorts of clubbing friends.
Is it George Hodel?
So, yeah, with abortion
Hey.
being illegal at this time, it would make sense that in this community there would be a doctor that they all knew in case they got into the family way and they could have it done. Now,
He's a celebrity back alley abortionist.
exactly. Now, Jean's friends did say at the time of her disappearance that she was 3 months pregnant, and as a note did say, getting an abortion while her mother was away is probably the best thing, so her mother doesn't know anything about it. Now, as you said, George Hodel was one of the best known abortion doctors at this time, black market abortion doctors. He has been pointed out as a Black Dahlia killer. He's also speculated as having something to do with the disappearance of Janine French in 1947 and Gladys Kern in 1948. And even though we've covered it in the Black Dahlia episode that we did, his son, Steve, who is a former LAPD officer, actually believes his father is the Black Dahlia killer.
Yeah, he's just like, it's my dad, it totes is. I
Yeah.
don't like it is. I'm with him on that one,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, they took soil samples from the property and they found blood in them soil samples. The dog that they walked around the property with indicated that there were remains on the property. But because it's owned by a different person now, they're not allowed to dig it up.
Would you not want to know if it was your property? I'd be like, dig away. Like, for fuck's sake, dig this house up and get rid of the travesty that I have moved into because this house is atrocious.
So,
This is Art Nouveau gone chaotic.
so you're saying that, but the person that has moved into George Hodel's house with the fucking hidden rooms and shit, do you know what I mean? Maybe they're like, maybe it was a Weinstein that moved in there and he thought, if I let them do this, maybe someone down the line is going to let them do something at a house I lived in. Maybe they're all keeping it in the family kind of thing. Do you know
Possibly.
what I mean? Like just scratching each other's back, and then when they meet up in fucking Michael Hammer's sex dungeon, and they're all sitting on his sex throne, they can laugh about it and go, yeah, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and then just go a little bit lower with that middle finger, and then... But
That would make sense. Like, okay, so say George Hodel, say he did kill Elizabeth Short, but say he did that deliberately because he wanted to do something artistic with her corpse or whatever bullshit reason. But if he was a back alley abortionist, maybe he was like accidentally killing these women because the abortions went wrong or something. But he's absolutely loaded with dosh. And he's just like, well, just make it go away. Just get rid of it.
Of course.
It's a failed. I'll just take her $50 and just make it go away.
Move on.
This might have happened to loads of women.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's not deliberate. It's just a failed abortion. And he's just like, I'm not going to admit to this because I have a reputation to uphold. So
that's it as well, because he was a proper doctor, doctor in the day, and just in the evenings he was performing these abortions. Abortions are legal at this time, so if someone died on the operating table while you're performing that abortion, you're not going to go, oh, policeman, I was performing this illegal operation, therefore you're going to arrest me, but I've killed her as well, so therefore I'm going to get more time, therefore my reputation's going to be tarnished, therefore, oh no, I'm a doctor, I know how to take a body apart, and just take it out to the sea. I've got a boat.
Yeah.
Or even ring the police and go, there's $50, you make it disappear. Just drive it over the state lines and drop it off over there, and it's their problem, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was
Exactly.
Hollywood's a close-knit club here, so even even if Kirk Douglas, right, this is speculation and it's all alleged, but even if Kirk Douglas took her to George Hodel's abortion midnight clinic and they were both in the room and saw her die, they could have just rang the fixer at the MGM or Universal or whatever at this point in time and gone, make this disappear, and she could have easily disappeared. And that is why this is still a missing persons case. It's not a murder case. The only difference is because the difference between Janine French, Gladys Kern, and Jean Spangler is they've disappeared, whereas Elizabeth Short was dumped on the street.
But what if Elizabeth Short was killed because he was just like, she's so beautiful, I want to make a piece of art out of her, but the other three died during botched abortions, and he was like, well, I could ditch the bodies or pose them like I did with Elizabeth Short, but if somebody figures out that these girls have had botched abortions and they might look, it looks very doctory, those incisions, they might come a hunting me.
Yeah.
It was just easier to just pour them in lime or something, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree 100% with that. I think it was George Hodel who was just going round. Some he messed up, some he did, and, you know...
I would really like to think that Jean Spangler, she just went, Hollywood's not for me. I'm going to move to Tahiti. And she just went and moved and lived her best life. And she was like, my daughter's probably better off in Hollywood. And
yeah.
She just now she's she's still alive, but she's 100 and she's sipping mojitos on the beach.
Yeah, no, I'd really love to agree with that. And
the only other, because I don't know, it could be a serial killer, but if it was a serial killer, would he not have wanted to, somebody to find the body?
Signature it.
Yeah.
Do you know, with a flurry, because that's what they all do. So it's, I think, you say, I think these were accidents, whereas Elizabeth Short was, I am going to make a statement.
Deliberate.
Yeah, I'm going to make a statement with this, but maybe he got a taste for killing when he did this, and then he saw her and thought, that is going to be my Mona Lisa, that's going to be my David. You know what I mean? That is going to be my statement. And then...
I mean, yeah. Did they ever look at, any women that went missing pre-Elizabeth Short? Because there could have been botched abortions and women missing for, years. And it's just, he might have just seen Elizabeth Short and gone, wow, she is drop dead gorgeous. And she was, until she opened her mouth, and then she had about 2 teeth. And then he'd be like, yeah, no, I'm going to make a piece of art out of her.
Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that it's just I think he was a serial killer, and he kind of killed in the way to satisfy himself, but then he made it up with a, whoopsie kind of thing.
Yeah.
But with Elizabeth Short, it was just I need to make a statement. And it was only after she was discovered that these people, because these people are pre-Black Dahlia, post-Black Dahlia, excuse me. So this is the only reason why there's attention being brought to him. And then before that, it was just, she's gone back to Ohio or Wyoming or whatever. You know what I mean? They just came out here to be actresses.
I guess if it was him and he had done the botched abortions, or he'd done the abortions full stop, and then he killed Elizabeth Short and then was like, yeah, I'm going to do this again because this made me feel real good, then everybody's already looking for the Black Dahlia killer, so he's kind of putting a big red target on his back by keep doing it over and over and over. He's going to get caught eventually, so maybe he's just kind of if they die, they die, and I'm 50 quid up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I don't really think if you're an illegal abortion doctor, you don't really care if they live or die.
He had too much to lose, with his career and his money and...
Exactly, getting caught.
His horrible house.
Yeah, it's Armie Hammer kind of thing. You got too much putting it on the line, doing it, but do it behind closed doors, then don't do it in a public forum, do you?
Jean, if you're out there, though, have a mojito on me.
Yeah.
You know what? Get a pina colada as well.
Indeed.
Good for you.
Subscribe, and comment.
Please do, Jean. Yes.
It does help.
Or get your PA to comment. Even just a lol is fine.
But yeah, so that's the disappearance of Jean Spangler there. Thank you all so much for joining us. This has been the MO podcast with me, Consummation.
Neutria.
Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast.